smile, and she makes him smile. God bless you both.
I just want to say I love you both. You look great together, and she's been looking her whole life for a good guy. I couldn't ask for a better one. I love you guys.
To do good things and like motivate you. It's not like a fishy-bossy.
Mom just never thought she was good enough.
So then what was the bulk of the wedding about?
It was just my mom and pretty much my sister just don't like her.
Oh.
They just thought that Shanann had taken me away from them and moved me out in Colorado.
I'm definitely...
7 years ago, on a quiet August morning in Frederick, Colorado, the world was introduced to what seemed like a heartbreaking disappearance. Shanann Watts, 34 years old and pregnant with her third child, was reported missing along with her two little girls, Bella and Celeste. The neighborhood buzzed with confusion. Friends called, police arrived, and cameras soon filled the street. And right there, in the center of it all, stood the man who claimed he was desperate to find them, Chris Watts. Yet from the very beginning, something felt off. Chris spoke calmly, almost too calmly, as reporters asked where his family might be. His eyes didn't match his words. His voice trembled in places where sincerity should have been steady, and steadied itself in places where panic should have lived. Neighbors whispered that his energy felt wrong, that his behavior didn't match the chaos unfolding around him. Even investigators noticed his strangely relaxed posture, his lack of genuine fear, and the way he repeated phrases like he had rehearsed them. The police body cam footage showed Chris pacing but never truly searching. He avoided looking directly at officers, and every answer he gave felt like a careful construction. For viewers who follow true crime deeply, these early moments are often the most telling. And as we continue uncovering how this story unfolded, make sure you subscribe to Nightfall Detectives. The deeper we go, the darker this case becomes, and you won't want to miss how the truth began to crack through the surface. As investigators examined his movements, questioned his expressions, and replayed his interviews, patterns began revealing themselves. It didn't take long before the officers realized that Chris's story didn't just have holes, it was collapsing. And that collapse would lead them to bring him into the interrogation room, where the first fractures of truth began to appear. Inside the interrogation room, Chris Watts sat with his hands folded, breathing evenly, as if he were waiting for a dentist appointment instead of facing the disappearance of his wife and daughters. The room was quiet, sterile, and heavy with suspicion. Investigators Tammy Lee and Graham Coder watched him carefully, noticing every twitch, every pause, every misplaced smile. Chris tried to maintain his veneer of calm, but under the fluorescent glow, the truth had already begun simmering beneath his skin. The agent started gently at first, asking him to walk them through the events of the morning Shanann vanished. He repeated the same lines he'd told reporters, a shaky script that still didn't ring true. His voice faltered only when the questions cut closer to the emotional core. When asked how he felt about his wife being gone, he blinked slowly, searching for the right expression. He found none. That emptiness spoke louder than anything he said. But investigators had one more tool. They brought in Chris's father, hoping the presence of someone he trusted would disrupt the wall he was holding up. And it worked. As soon as Ronnie Watts sat beside him, Chris's breathing changed. His shoulders slumped. His voice cracked. And for the first time, the carefully rehearsed narrative began to crumble. "Dad. I did it," he whispered. But even in this moment, he twisted the truth, crafting a version that shifted blame away from himself. As this chilling confession unfolded, take a moment to like this video and share it. Cases like this remind us how easily darkness can hide behind a smiling face. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Nightfall Detectives so you don't miss what we uncover next. Because the story wasn't over, not even close. The truth he revealed in that room was only the beginning of the deeper horror investigators were about to face. When investigators finally pieced together the real timeline, the truth was far darker than anything Chris first admitted. It became clear that the calm man giving press interviews had already crossed a line long before cameras arrived. In the early hours of that August morning, while the neighborhood slept, Chris carried out a plan that only he understood. The evidence, cell data, GPS routes, surveillance footage, and forensic details, formed a timeline so chilling that even seasoned detectives struggled to comprehend the coldness behind each step. The affair he tried to hide, the financial strain he refused to confront, the growing resentment he felt toward the life he had built, everything pointed to a man desperate to erase his responsibilities rather than face them. He wasn't acting out of panic. He wasn't overwhelmed. He was detached, methodical, and disturbingly controlled. As investigators retraced his movements, from the house to the oil site where he worked, the story he spun began dissolving entirely. What remained was a timeline of calculated decisions, each one more heartless than the last. The public reacted with shock, disbelief, and anger. Communities across the world watched the case unfold in real time, unable to understand how someone who appeared so ordinary could commit something so monstrous. And as these details were revealed, the news spread rapidly, drawing millions into the horror of what happened behind closed doors. If you're still with us as we continue piecing together the real story, make sure you're subscribed to Nightfall Detectives. These deep reconstructions take time, and your support helps bring clarity to cases where the truth is often buried beneath layers of lies. And trust me, the darkest part of this story is still ahead, so don't forget to like this video to help it reach others following the case. Chris was no longer just a suspect. He was charged. And the world now knew a fraction of what truly happened. By his second year behind bars, Chris was no longer the calm man giving polished interviews. He was cracking, unraveling, and searching for a version of truth he thought the world might accept. But the truth he would finally reveal, 7 years later, would shock even those who believed they'd heard everything. 7 years after the murders, Chris Watts finally revealed a version of the truth that investigators had never heard before. It happened quietly, no cameras, no courtroom, just a written confession sent to someone he believed would understand him. But this truth wasn't a clean confession. It was fragmented, unsettling, and disturbing in the way only the mind of a broken man could be. He described waking up that morning not with a plan, but with what he called a dark impulse, something he claimed had been building for months. He wrote that he felt detached from reality, as if he were watching someone else make decisions he couldn't stop. He admitted that the moment the house fell silent, he felt something inside him collapse, an emptiness he had no words for. Yet even in this confession, he shifted blame, describing himself as overwhelmed, lost, and emotionally flooded, as if hoping readers would see a human in the wreckage instead of a murderer. But the most chilling part came when he wrote that there were moments, even in prison, when he wasn't sure if the memory was real or a nightmare replaying itself. And as shocking as this new version was, experts who reviewed his account noticed glaring inconsistencies, details that didn't match the evidence, timelines that contradicted his earlier statements, and emotional descriptions that felt more like rehearsed excuses. If you want us to break down those inconsistencies in a full separate video, make sure you hit the like button so we know to continue this investigation on the channel. Chris's final confession didn't bring closure. It raised even more questions. After 7 years, the truth still felt like something he was shaping, controlling, and bending, just as he had tried to shape his life before it all collapsed. And that's the terrifying reality, sometimes the truth isn't hidden. It just keeps changing.